My name is Amanda, surname Underwood, and my married name is White, so I go by A.J.Underwhite. I did copy J.K. Rowling with the initials. I am a creative person. I do hairdressing, dance, and as a child I love writing creative stories. I work in finance now. That's really boring. I want to get out of it. So I've written 3 books, and that's a bit low. I've got 4 dogs. I'm not going to waffle on because I've been told I've only got 10 minutes, so I shall start. Excuse me. Yeah, I've actually got a fear of speaking in public, so if my voice goes a bit wobbly, I've thrown myself into the out of my comfort zone. So anyway, this is my 3rd book, Him, Her and That Secret. 3 of my books are time travel, with an element of time travel. I written in COVID also, 2020. I wasn't furloughed, unfortunately, but I wrote in the evening when I wasn't running around or doing haircuts or whatever. So yeah, this is basically a book about a girl called Alora Ryan, and she is a victim of a hit-and-run car crash. She's involved in a friendship in a group of 6. Amongst those friends are 3 relationships: Alora and Blake, Sadie and Lucian, Cassy and Kyle. And 2 of them have got a secret love affair, having a secret love affair. After the accident, Alora temporarily drifts into the afterlife, and she meets up with Johnny, her first love. And with his lighthearted sense of fun and humour, he takes her on a journey to Ireland where she laughs, loves and discovers the Emerald Isle and its beauty. Together, and with detectives Wilson and Jenkins, they try to discover the identity of the hit-and-run driver. Okay, so present. This is a bit low, but I'll just hold it. Right. That's fine. Suddenly, the noise of the room dims into silence as if someone has turned the volume of the world down. As I gaze at myself from up above, I observe the doctors and nurses rushing around me frantically. I deeply admire the determination of those trying to save me as if their own lives depended on it. I want to reach out to tell them that it is okay, but I cannot speak. My mouth won't form the words. I see my loved ones who were just moments ago gathered around my bed being gently ushered out of my room. I allow my eyes to drift back onto myself as an unusual sense of calm washes over me, soft and steady, like a warm tide. I look peaceful, relaxed, almost surreal, as if I'm merely asleep and enjoying a wonderful dream. I did see the face of the driver. I did see who hit my car. However, the face or name will not gel in my mind. I now feel nothing, no anger, no resentment, no physical pain, no emotion, no regret or sadness, nothing. Strangely, I no longer wonder why I'm here. I am also no longer consumed by the love affair. As I allow myself to slowly and calmly drift into a beautiful and peaceful sleep, my mind is filled with the most magical feeling of an unusual sense of expectation as a new journey approaches me. Alora and Blake, Sadie and Lucian, Cassy and Kyle. 3 couples, all friends, 1 illicit love affair, 1 hit-and-run driver, and 1 dark secret between him and her. The driver. The decision to run and leave Alora is one that I will regret for the rest of my life. Every moment of every day, we make choices that alter the course of our lives, some big, some small. Tea or coffee, stay or go? I chose the latter. I am not heartless. I waited just long enough to make sure she was attended to before I fled the scene of the accident. I did seek help, and I did shout to the middle-aged woman walking her dog, begging her to call an ambulance. I could not tell you what the lady looked like or what breed of dog she had. It had all happened so fast, too fast. As swiftly as my mind was made up in that split second, it was the hardest decision that I have ever, or perhaps will ever make. Yes, I lied to the lady. I told her I didn't have a phone, but it wasn't for myself. It was to protect Alora, who has no idea that she is the love of my life and always will be. I waited, hidden, just long enough to see the ambulance arrive. But standing there, watching from the shadows, was when my heart and my head began its war. That is the biggest battle, the battle within me. As I sit here now, hiding in the woods, at the side of the embankment, my heart races and my hands tremble. I am painfully aware that it is not too late to hand myself in. To my right, the traffic hums relentlessly like a constant reminder of the world I fled. To my left, the peace and tranquility of the woodland beckon, which is far more appealing than the chaos in the opposite direction. I envy the squirrel running up the tree, finding safety high among the branches, the ancient oak before me. As I fix my gaze on the tree, I find its face looking back at me. Is it judging me, I wonder? Curiously, I think about how many secrets that old oak tree has held in its ancient years, how many silent tears and whispered confessions it has witnessed. Suddenly, the face looking back at me is no longer bearing its own. The only face I can now see is the beauty of Alora's. Her. Everyone has a story, usually a love story left untold, often out of fear of being judged. Usually there are three sides to the love story: his, hers, and the truth. I never say never, because limits like fears are often just an illusion. As for the hurt I have caused, I wish I could explain it, but I can't. Him, no comment. Alora. I could not recall how I had arrived at this beautiful place. The bright light that I heard people talk about with their near-death experience had guided me through a tunnel, a passage both swift and yet strangely still. Above me stretched an electric blue sky, vast and endless, with positive energy that seeped into my skin and filled me with a calm like I'd never known. A stern, middle-aged lady stood almost matriarchal, but silent in front of a large iron gate holding a sign. Her eyes were directed onto me. I felt myself moving towards her, magnetically. The sign read, "Heaven Only," and I burst into a fit of giggles, much to the lady's annoyance. I felt younger, almost childlike, carefree and irresponsible, as a small smile tugged at the corners of my mouth. "Do I have a choice?" I asked, as I noticed the strict cut of her clothing matching the hardness of her features. Her uniform reminded me of a photo of my great-aunt Ede, which had been taken when she was a matron, starched fabric and a rigid posture to match. "Yes, of course. That is why you are here," she sighed impatiently. "You can either keep moving or turn back. So if you're not sure, please do the latter, as it looks like we're going to be pretty busy this evening." My giggles at her matter-of-fact tone suddenly halted, as a bright light pulled me with an irresistible force. At a speed, I sped past her, through a tunnel which guided me over an ornate bridge. I found myself perched onto a large rock, my eyes drawn to the most beautiful beach I had ever seen. The sea and sky melted into the same perfect shade of azure blue. I stretched out to perform a cartwheel in the sand, which I completed proudly with a perfect landing. My body felt free of all pain and unburdened as I dared to run a somersault like I was 14 years old again. The distance seemed to shift, drawing closer as tiny animal shapes grew larger and clearer with each step. Suddenly, a four-legged friend came darting towards me at a profound speed. As my eyes widened in disbelief, I found myself calling Hugo, and there he was, my lovely little Hugo, bounding across the landscape until his full force knocked me off balance until I was laying back on the beautiful sand, his tail thumping against my legs as I welcomed him onto my lap. Hugo was more than my pet husky dog. He was my loyal companion from the age of 9 until I was 22. His coat was still as beautiful, with its white and grey colours, perfectly framing his little wolf-like face. My heart broke the day that he died, one day after my birthday. I knew he was determined to selflessly let me celebrate my special day before he passed away. As I hugged him tightly, a beautiful rainbow appeared in the sky. In that instant, I knew I was on Rainbow Bridge. Blake looked at his watch, 7:21 p.m. The dark cloud hung overhead, casting a quiet shadow that pushed him onwards straight to the hospital. The news of Alora's accident had reached him, and he needed to get to the heart of London as fast as he could. His stomach churned with dread. His beloved Alora had been seriously injured, and he wanted to be with her. He needed to be with her. And most of all, she needed him. He finally arrived at the car park next to the accident and emergency and tried to be patient as he waited at the reception desk. A woman holding a crying toddler stood in front of him. In his agitated state, he rushed past them through the automatic doors. Blake approached a petite nurse with red hair, of whom he recognised. "Alora Ryan?" he asked impatiently, but politely. The nurse cradled her coat in one arm, her face weary but composed. "I'm just finishing my shift," she said gently, but Alora had been moved into intensive care. "She's in an induced coma and not allowed any visitors at present, as she's been prepared for major surgery on her back. But you can wait in there," she advised as she guided Blake to a small room with 2 sofas and a sink with tea and coffee making facilities. As Blake stepped inside, he was surprised to see his friend Sadie, her partner Lucian, Alora's friend Cassy, and her partner Kyle already there, amongst quiet tension in the room. Without hesitation, Sadie stood up and wrapped Blake in a comforting hug. "Oh my God, this is awful. Why is this happening?" Sadie sobbed uncontrollably to an otherwise shocked silence around her and buried her head into Blake's chest. Her immaculate scarlet red nails were harbouring a worn-out tissue as she fiddled for a fresh one from the packet in her handbag. The door opened again. Both Kyle and Lucian stood up and moved towards the sink to allow a seat for Alora's mother, Jenny. Kyle turned towards Cassy, whose face was pale and voice unusually quiet as she whispered a quick hello. Lucian started to fill the kettle while offering everyone a hot drink. He tried his best to put on a brave face to hide his own pain. When the sound of the bubbles rising to the surface had hit its peak, the shocking words of the 2 police officers who had just entered the hospital waiting room were a little too much to bear. Blake, Sadie, Lucian, Cassy and Carl were all advised that they were under arrest and taken to their local police station, and within half an hour all of them separated into interview rooms for questioning. That's it. Thanks.